once again to an episode of Bill Has Opinions, the Gen X Problem with the Drinking Show. I'm Laura Lavoie, and I am joined, as always, by Bill Perkins, who has opinions.
Hi there.
How are you today?
I'm doing okay today. It's a pretty pleasant day, except for the weird. So we're in this part of spring where we got the weird weather fluctuations right now. Like you wake up and it's 40 degrees, and you put on a sweater, and then you go to work, and then by noon it's like 70, and you have to take the sweater off, and you forget and leave it at work. You know, that whole thing. So I'm annoyed with I'm loving the 70 part, right? Like I'm not knocking that. Like I don't want it to get any warmer, except I want it to stay warmer after the sun goes down, I guess. Right. I'd like it. Yes, I just want it not to be 40 in the morning is what I want. So there. Other than that, yeah, everything's great.
Well, good.
Yeah, so there.
We always like to hear that things are great.
Yeah, how are things with you?
I mean, things here are, we're literally in the last month of everything before we move. So finals are starting this week, and then 2 weeks of finals, and then we pack, and then we move. Actually, we'll probably pack in the meantime. I don't know. But I am just ready. I'm ready for this phase to be over.
Crank it up. You playing the Oscar music?
Yes. Also, Heather, I heard there was hail in Atlanta. I am currently in Atlanta, and it has been bright and sunny all day, so I do not know where there was hail. I'm actually curious now. I'm going to go look it up, see where hail happened, because we've had nothing.
Where the hail?
Where the hail is the hail. So, and also, finals finally. Yay, yes, and this is the very end. Matt had his very last law school class today, so congratulations to him. Yay, good job. And we'll be moving on to finals and then moving back to Asheville. So
nice. Yeah.
So normally at this phase of the show, I ask you, Bill, what are you drinking? And today is a very special question because this is one of our quarterly, we'll say, beer shows.
Yeah.
Where we talk
about. You're going to ask me several times during the show, what are you drinking?
I will be doing that. So why don't you kick us off?
Okay, well, so first off, I want to mention the beer that I pre-gamed with because I had a beer prior to this, and that was the Fontaflora Air Day. It's a sour, but it's like a light. Hold on, it's got some tiny print here that I can make out if I hold it far enough away from my face. It says a mixed culture table beer is what it says, but the culture thing makes it mildly sour. It was like slightly more sour than like a Mountain Dew, like it had kind of a sort of weird, citrusy and some other thing going on. I mean, it did taste like a culture. It was kind of like a yogurty sort of sour, I guess,
All right.
It was kind of weird. Not terribly sour. I should have probably not started with it because I'm not loving the one I'm drinking now, and I'm wondering whether it's because my palate's a little bit off. That one wasn't so sour that it just ruined my taste buds, but it might have ruined me for the next beer, which I picked up, which was also by the same brewery, Fontaflora, out of, was that Morganton?
Morganton. They're my favorite North Carolina brewery outside of Asheville.
Yeah, I want to talk about some other things with them in a little bit, but anyway, then I'm drinking this Maybach, also from Fontaflora. It says a traditional springtime lager beer, and it doesn't give me any clues as to what ingredients there are, so what I'm supposed to expect, taste wise. I mean, it's got pictures of dogwoods and stuff like that on the front, and I don't know if it might taste like dogwood flowers for all I know. I've never tasted one. So my first impression right now is it tastes kind of antiseptic in a weird way. And I don't know, like I said, whether that's because of the sour that I just had, and maybe, I don't know. It's just got kind of a.
Maybe it'll mellow itself out as you.
I'm hoping. It's very. I would say it's very crisp, but crisp and almost like it's too crisp. It's got a weird close. It's I don't know how to describe it. Very dry. It's not hoppy. It's just got a very dry close that I don't care for.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense at all. It's you know what it's like when you drink a Yingling that's gotten a little warm. You know, like those are good when they're ice cold, but like when they get a little warm, they have this weird kind of close to them, and you're like, yeah.
And this, boys and girls, is why I do not drink Yingling. Also, by the way, Heather, the hail was on Saturday, which Saturday's weather was crazy pants here. It went from freezing cold to bright and sunny to huge windstorms and thunderstorms. It was absolutely crazy. So yes, it was Saturday. So I have to start with. So we're going to talk about what makes a spring beer a little bit later in the episode because it's not quite as cut and dry as like a fall beer or a winter beer. Right. So we're going to talk about it. Ultimately, the takeaway is that we get to make it up as we go along. But this one right here that I'm about to talk about first requires a little bit of intro. So it is the Lager of the Lakes from Bell's Brewing. So it comes from the Midwest, Kalamazoo, Michigan, to be specific. And it's a Bohemian Pilsner. Let's see. And it says, this golden lager sparks thoughts of sandy beaches and freshwater islands. So
the lakes and what it's the islands and bays are for sportsmen, as I understand it.
According to the little iconography on there, yes, it is. Like right there, you can see that it's for sports people. It is very tasty.
Is that a picture of the bridge also?
Mm-hmm.
The bridge,
the Mackinac Bridge.
Yeah.
The Mackinac Bridge is this is not the bridge episode, but the Mackinac Bridge is a feat of engineering. Like, it's pretty epic.
Yeah.
It's worth visiting just to drive over the bridge. I hate bridges, and it's still worth visiting just to drive over the bridge.
Oh, okay. I have a weird, like, I sort of hate bridges, but sort of don't. Say, yeah, but we'll talk. Yeah, that's another show.
That's a different show. But this is a very, very tasty lager. And also I want to point out what's better than drinking spring beers than out of a Halloween glass. So what is this, Spring-a-ween we decided?
We decided that, yes, that it's Spring-a-ween.
That every holiday should be a version of Halloween, like Easter should be Spring-a-ween.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, hey, look at this talk about crazy weather. Talk about crazy Midwest weather. It's so warm in Minnesota in April that Heather's husband has to go outside and mow the lawn.
Wow.
Usually
mowing the lawn.
Well, yeah. Before he has to snow blow, I imagine.
Yeah. He'll get the snow. Yeah. We'll mow it today and he'll get the snow blower out tomorrow.
Exactly.
I believe, Heather, that the band Ministry is in accordance with you on the fact that every day should be Halloween.
That's what I understand. I also agree. But all right, so before I open my second beer, while I finish this one, I have a lot of thoughts about what makes a spring beer, but let's start out with your thoughts, Bill. What is your spring beer monologue?
So spring beer. So it's funny, because you mentioned so all the other seasons seem to actually have like a literal thing. Like this is a summer beer. This is a fall beer. This is a winter beer. And the spring beer is kind of like it's like you're in between winter beers and summer beers. So we're kind of like winging it a little bit. Like this Maybach is probably because that literally, as you pointed out, means May beer, right? Then that's probably maybe the most pure form of spring beer. I don't know. I say So to me, like summer beer is what you're looking for. Is you're looking for something that's light and not heavy on the palate because it's warm out. You want something that tastes good cold that you can just knock back. It's not too alcoholic because that also dehydrates you, and so you're not looking for that. You're looking for something that's mostly water. That's what summer is, right? And whereas winter, I always think of you got your dark beers, your stuff that's more spicy, and it's more like it's got like a weight to it because you're trying to put on your pounds for the winter time, to stay warm. So spring beer is something in between that. It's like you're thinking fondly of warmer days, but you're not quite there yet. I don't know. Like so we're gonna play a little fast and loose, I guess, right? Like, I'm feeling like sours are kind of springy.
Yes.
We're,
Yes.
we to be honest, we talked about this a little bit, me and Laura, before the show. We bounced this back and forth last week. And, she was like, well, the flavors of spring, berries and things. And I was trying to well, okay, what berries are in season yet? Really. And I'd say like sort of maybe floral stuff, like, I don't know, like saisons perhaps, maybe. Because those have kind of a floral, like, since flowers blow in spring and saisons taste floral, I don't know. What do we decide? Oh, and I maybe Hefeweizens, I said.
Sure. And depending on the Hefeweizen, because if it's super citrusy, then it might be more summery. But
right. And I wanted to take an aside.
Oh, wait. Okay, hold on. Let me go and do that.
And talk about Hefeweizens for just a minute. To me, so I bought a Hefeweizen the other day, and I was expecting one thing, and I got something completely different, because it occurred to me that's the style of beer that I want to say is the most open to interpretation. I feel like most other things, you buy a hazy IPA, and you usually get what you expect out of the can. It tastes kind of fruity and cloudy, and it's got all those things, right? Like I taste the hops, but I also taste sort of a citrusy thing going on. You get that. You get a saison, and you get it tastes floral, and it's got like this, like this sort of that cultures thing I'm talking about. Like it's got that thing going on. You get a lager, you get a beer flavored beer, like everything else, you kind of get what you expect, right?
Right.
And I feel like with Hefeweizen, it's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
You never know what you're going to get.
I mean, I bought a Hefeweizen the other day for this show, and I ended up not bringing it tonight because I didn't like it. Because sometimes I buy Hefeweizen and I pour it, and it's very, I don't know, it's very like weedy and sometimes it's a little bit, as you said, citrusy. It's like it's almost got like a lemony kind of quality.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one, I opened one the other day and I went to drink it, and it was very. I'll give it. It was springy. This was by Old Hickory out of Hickory, North Carolina. Which is a brewery I like. I love their Ruby Lager. That's a really good beer, and that could be a spring beer, maybe. I think of it more as a summer beer, but I don't know, But it's like a red lager. It's very good. I really love that beer, so I was like, I'll give this a shot. Maybe it'll be good. And it turns out their Hefeweizen was very floral, very so floral. In fact, and side note, that's off-putting to me. I don't like saisons that are too floral. I feel like I'm drinking like perfume or something. It's the way I often describe them, as perfumey, because when you mix alcohol and floral, to me that's perfume.
You get a little bathroom situation going on. Yeah. So to interject really quick to speak about saisons that are flowery, my second beer is this right here, the Garden Beer. Which is brewed by Wild Heaven in conjunction with the Atlanta Botanical Garden. And it is actually chamomile, rosemary, strawberry tea. And I have not tasted it yet. So let's see. This is the only one today that I've not had before. And it smells very floral. It's not bad. I don't know what I was expecting, but it actually you taste the strawberries. You don't taste a lot of tea. It says tea, but you don't taste a lot of tea, which is good because I hate the taste of tea.
Do you? Okay, because I would like that part. If I tasted tea and strawberries, actually, I would think that would be very pleasant.
I think you would like this. I have more. I'll save one for you.
Okay, very good. I'm actually, as I mentioned, I'm not loving this one. I'm gonna finish it in a sec, and then I'm gonna move on to also a strawberry beer.
Ooh, strawberry. Oh, man. Hey.
Laura said strawberries were springy, although I went back and forth with her a little bit because I'm like, well, the strawberries aren't really ripe until late May around here, the local strawberries. And by local, I mean down the hill in South Carolina is where we get our strawberries from usually. But they don't usually get ripe until May. So I mean, I guess technically she said, well, May is spring. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, you got me there, I guess.
Well, the reason I say strawberries is only because recently I had a client ask me to write, which just got published like a week or so ago, a strawberry recipes for the spring. So obviously that client thinks strawberries are spring. So
you can get strawberries, but but they're all from California. I'm like, you're not going to get strawberries from anywhere around here, is what I'm getting at. Like, you're not going to get local strawberries until May. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but strawberry does have a strong sense of summer or spring flavor to me. Like, I'm not a huge fan of strawberries.
But okay.
Maybe I'm not a huge fan of strawberries because I keep eating them in the spring.
Oh. Could be. Yeah, you're eating a lot of green strawberries and you're just like not loving them.
True. And fair, strawberries won't be until July in Minnesota. Well, that makes some sense based on your climate.
Yeah.
But also, I'd argue that spring isn't until July in Minnesota.
Fair enough. Yes.
So there you go. This is actually a lot better than I wasn't sure what to expect at all, and I really like this. I don't know that I would like drink a 6-pack, but it's good.
I'm not choking down the last 3 swigs of this. I don't love it. And I've got a lot of beer to drink, so I'm just gonna save myself. Cracking open an Abita strawberry lager. Now I will say this: Abita and Sierra Nevada are the 2 breweries I give the most fucking chances to. Okay, and they let me down an awful lot. I will say Sierra Nevada has redeemed themselves slightly more than Abita ever has. I don't know that I've ever had an Abita beer that I ever really went, wow, okay, that makes up for all the times you fucked me. Sierra Nevada, at least they do Oktoberfest well, which I give them a little credit for. Like,
that's true.
And to be fair, if you're a fan of those hoppy California style IPAs, you probably love Sierra Nevada, but I am not. And I feel like every other style they try to do still tastes like that. Like they're like, bah, here's the hops. And you're like, I didn't want that.
Here's a color bison. Oh my God, it tastes like hops. Why the fuck does that taste like hops? I don't understand.
Exactly. So they always like, every time I give them a chance on something weird, I'm like, yeah. Although I did have one recently. They've got an apricot. No, sorry, it's a nectarine beer out right now.
I had that recently.
And it's pretty good. Pretty good. It's a pretty good, although I would say it's more of a summer beer than a spring beer, probably.
But who cares? We make the rules. Drink whatever you want.
Yeah, but it's out now. But this is the funny thing about the beer seasons too, is the beers are in the stores about 2 months before the actual beer season. Like you will have the Oktoberfest in the stores like in late July, right? Oh
yeah.
You'll be like trying to mow the grass and sweating. You're like, oh my God, I'm just gonna go get myself like a nice wheat, a Kolsch or something, and you'll go to the store and all the fucking Oktoberfest is there and all these spicy things, and you're like, I don't fucking want this.
Well, while you're opening your strawberry Abita, which I have strong opinions on Abita beer too, but let's do our station break. And this week, I want to give a shout out to the Purple Onion, where you are coming at us live. As well,
from their green room, their beautiful green room called the Grotto. Speaking of green rooms, I want to mention that live music is back on the table soon here.
Yes.
They're not going full hog, but they're going with like singer-songwriter stuff. No full bands yet. Because they're going to have to put like a plexiglass shield up around the stage area, to protect the viewers from although hopefully you're all vaccinated and it's going to be less and less of a concern, I hope. If you're not vaccinated yet, for the love of God, go get vaccinated. It's free. and, and you won't have to worry about this shit anymore. So
Indeed. Yes, go back to the if you want to drink some beers, not necessarily the ones we talk about online. You can drink them at the Purple Onion if you're in Saluda, North Carolina.
An excellent selection of taps. I am often drinking there, as I've mentioned in the past. It's a great place to drink and gather and have a good meal and see a band sometimes. Hopefully in the future. So there you go. First act. Gosh, when is it? I want to say
I just saw it and I should have written it down because
it's like I want to say it's like 2 weeks from now, and it's a band called the Danburys, which is I think a husband and wife duo. Here we go. Yeah, May 6th, the Danburys. On May 13th, Dulcie Ellenberger. I don't know how many of our people would know, but I like Dulcie Ellenberger. I've known about her for years. She's in a band called Cowboy Judy, which formerly known as
Sweet Claudette.
Sweet Claudette, right? But they changed their name because there was actually a soul jazz lady down in New Orleans named Sweet Claudette, and so they sorted that out, and they call themselves Cowboy Judy. But Dulcie, she was in a project called
the Honey Cutters, wasn't it?
No, that's Amanda.
No. Oh, that's the other one.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes.
That's the one the other girl is in.
Yeah. No, I can't remember now. She was in a band that used to play on the bus around Asheville though. Back in the day. And you know what? I met Dulcie years and years ago. This was before me and Emily even met. I was sitting in front of the noodle shop uptown in Asheville one night, and she was busking on the street, and she played a song, and she played this song called "It Could Always Be Worse," and I loved the song. It reminded me. I know I'm going off on a tangent. It reminded me of there was this band. I want to say they're out of Wisconsin, maybe back in the late '80s, early '90s, called Fairground Attraction, which were kind of like a female-led version of the Del Fuegos, if you will.
Nice.
But vocally reminded me of that, which I loved that album, and so I was like, oh, this is really cool, But anyway, yeah, she had this song called "It Could Always Be Worse," which I thought was a very clever song, and most of her songwriting is very clever. Anyway, so she'll be there May 13th, and all through May. I guess they have a show every weekend in May. So there you go. So live music back on the table. Get your vaccine. Go see some live music.
And we should point out they are ticketed events. So visit the website because space is limited. So if you're in Saluda, definitely check that out. And so as Heather says, yay to the Purple Onion.
Yes, thank you, Heather, for yay to the Purple Onion. Yeah, the Purple Onion. They had to switch to ticketed events because we're kind of at half capacity still. The governor said you can do whatever the hell. They have staffing issues in addition to the pandemic thing. Like it's just hard to staff now. And this is the case no matter what restaurant you're going to. If you're going to a restaurant right now, I just want to say this: if you're going to a restaurant right now and they're a little slow getting your shit out, please be patient. They're probably got 3 people working. This is the case at every restaurant in the country right now. They've got 3 people working, and just give them some space and a little leeway, and please don't be impatient. Your food will come, and it'll all work out.
Indeed.
If you wanted it quicker, you could have stayed home and cooked.
Exactly. But support your local restaurants, folks.
Yeah.
All right. So Heather says she wishes our show had beer-o-vision so she could have every beer that we mentioned.
Wow, wouldn't that be some technology? If you could click a thing when you see a picture of beer and you could taste it.
Yeah, like that's some Willy Wonka shit right there, right?
Yes, Heather, I appreciate the hell out of that.
Yes,
chipping the hell out of restaurants. Yes, they're having a hard time. And every third person, of course, comes in and wants to give a diatribe on why they don't need to wear a mask and why they don't need to put up with this bullshit and blah blah blah. And you know what? It's the person who's trying to serve you doesn't need to hear your whatever. Like they don't care. They're trying to serve you and the other 12 people they've got to serve, and they don't need the grief.
Exactly.
So don't give them any.
So yes, give them a huge tip and be patient. I agree.
Tip them for the other asshole.
Exactly right. All right.
Yeah.
So the strawberry beer that you are drinking, how is that tasting?
It's actually pretty decent. You know, I've said in the past maybe my beef with berry flavored beers is most of the time if they have a tendency to just to taste like a cough syrup because berry and alcohol just mix together to trigger your childhood memories of
Right, because scent and flavor is all tied to memory.
right, exactly. So most of the time, like when you drink like a cherry beer, you're like, oh, okay, this is obviously cough syrup. Yeah.
Right.
I feel like I can't drink lambics for this reason because they all taste like cough syrup to me. Of all the berry flavored beers, I think strawberries and blueberries are the two berries that work the best in beer. I've had blackberry if it's a sour, it works okay because the sour sort of cancels out the alcohol part, right? So that it ends up working. But if it's not a blackberry sour, I don't want it. Blueberry works in a wheat beer for me. This strawberry beer is actually pretty palatable. It's very light. I would say it's it's kind of got the consistency of a Miller with some strawberry closing.
Right, right. Fair enough. Yeah, no, Abita is an interesting brewery for me because I really only drink, like, when I first started drinking beer, Abita, like, I drank it a lot because
they were one of the early craft beers, right? Like after Sam Adams, it was like the second or third craft brewery that you like could get everywhere.
Exactly. You could get their basic amber and you could get their purple haze anywhere. So if you wanted something other than a Bud Light or whatever, you could get an Abita. So, but I find Abita tastes good in context. And that context is if I'm in New Orleans and you're going to get, and you can get, like, a lot of the bars will do the happy hour buckets. And your options are like Bud Light, Miller Light, and Abita. And you're like, okay, of course I'm getting 5 Abitas in a bucket.
Right, yeah.
We'd like 2 of them for the table, please.
I would say of all the Abita beers that I've had, and I mentioned earlier that like sometimes I feel like, ugh, like because I feel like they keep screwing me. This is one of the more palatable of their beers. The strawberry one is good. I feel like they've got one that's like a pecan, something rather in the fall that's actually mildly okay.
Yeah, although there's another one, interestingly enough, we're not talking fall beers. We'll talk about that again in the fall. But there's another brewery out of Hattiesburg, Mississippi that does a beer called Southern Pecan, depending on where you're from. And it is, oh, yeah, exactly. It is amazing. It is still, like, I had it for the first time in New Orleans. We went to a beer bar that had like 100 taps or more on the wall on Bourbon Street. And all of our friends were out drinking, hurricanes and absinthe drinks or whatever. And we're like, we're just going to sit here at this beer bar and try to drink all of them. And there was this Southern Pecan was the most delicious thing I had. And it might have been because I was otherwise drinking Abita. So but it's so good. So in the fall, get your hands on Southern Pecan from crap. It helps if I tell you what the name of the brewery is. They're from Hattiesburg and Mississippi, and they're called something. And I cannot remember. Maybe Matt can remind me.
Another name, though.
Another name. I've had a couple of beers. I don't remember. Maybe Matt can remind me what they are called, but very, very good stuff. Anyway, let's see. Where are we? Okay, spring beers. We're talking about spring beers.
Yeah.
So it's a problem when we drink a lot on the show. That's how we're funny, folks. Oh, yes, this is in fact Lazy Magnolia is the name of the brewery.
Okay.
Magnolia. And they've got several really good beers, but they're Southern Pecan in the fall, so good. All right. So I said earlier that I had some very specific opinions on spring beers, and I'll tell you where it came from. So many, many years ago, I was writing for a pop culture blog on the interwebs that unfortunately no longer exists. So I can no longer access this stuff. And it taught me a lesson on saving all of your stuff because if you wrote it on the online platform and the online platform's gone, you don't have it anymore.
It's gone, yeah.
It's gone forever.
I've had that same issue. I've got a couple websites I wish I'd backed up,
Yeah. So it was a pop culture blog, and most of it was TV, movies, music, etc. But that was at the moment that I was getting really into craft beer. And I'm like, you know what else is pop culture? Beer is pop culture, peeps. So I wrote a series on seasonal beers. And I started in the fall because that happened to be the season it was, which of course is ripe with seasonal beers. And then I wrote about winter beers. And then came spring and I'm like, what the fuck do I write about? So I did it. And at the time I was not drinking anything hoppy. I did not like hoppy beers. I liked dark beers. I liked lagers. Like I did not like hoppy beers. But what occurred to me is that hops, folks, is a flower. And flowers are spring. Mm-hmm. So I experimented with some hoppy beers to try to get in. Now, like pale ales and IPAs are my go-to. Like it was because I wrote that series and started drinking those beers that I started drinking them at all. So I find hoppy beers, pale ales in particular, some IPAs, to be very springy. And the one I wish I could share with you all today was the spring beer that really launched it all. Highland Brewing used to have a spring beer called Little Hump. Highland Brewing out of Asheville, of course. Little Hump beer, they don't make it anymore. And it was just a really fresh, crisp pale ale IPA. It was something like that. I think it used Simcoe hops, just like one hops. And it was so, so good, so delicious. And I would drink it like water. It was so delicious. So I started associating lightly hoppy beers, not like hop bombs, but light hoppy, florally hoppy beers with spring.
Okay. I would to jump off of that, the ones that came out a year or two ago, there was a big trend to make these brute beers. You remember this?
Mm-hmm.
Those I would say that's kind of springy. They're very crisp. They are a little hoppy, but just hoppy enough to make them like have a crispness. You know, like they're not like you said, they're not hot bombs. They're not two-hearted from Bell's or something like that. You know, like
right.
They're hoppy enough where they're not a lager. But they're like a lager, but with a little tiny hoppy close, kind of is what you know, like
exactly.
Yeah. So those would be, I think, maybe a good spring beer if you can find a brute. I don't know if people are still doing that. Like I feel like 2 years ago that was a huge trend. Like every beer company on earth had a brute for a minute,
and then that trend fizzled out real fast.
Right? Like what was up with that? What was the idea for it to taste like champagne? Is that why they were?
I think that was the basic premise.
They're the champagne of beers.
That has already been taken. Ooh, after drinking that saison. Ooh, this is the Creature Comforts Automatic Pale Ale, and of course, Creature Comforts is out of Athens, Georgia. So without spilling this, as you can see, right there it says "For the People," and that is totally an REM reference because they're from Athens.
Oh, I get it's automatic
for the people. For people, peeps.
What's the frequency there, Kenneth?
I do. Exactly. So it is completely and the beer can is designed to look like a trailer park, which I think is just adorable. And it's kind of Art Deco-y, which is funny because I don't think Athens, Georgia is known for their Art Deco architecture.
Everybody burps sometimes.
You're just waiting for the ability to add more REM to the mix. I cannot offer any at the moment. I'm losing my religion. So
I'm opening a new one. This one's called Enchanted Island. Okay, it's actually from a brewery. This is funny. It's called Enchanted Island. Is that from Florida? From somewhere in the islands? No, it's from Humble Forager in Waunakee, Wisconsin.
Wait! I gotta get back to that screen. Oh crap! I gotta get back to that screen. No, and as you pointed out, because this beer that I drank, also from the Midwest, is all about the islands. Like it says on it, it sparks thoughts of sandy beaches and freshwater islands. So apparently Michigan's really in Michigan and Wisconsin.
They're into the islands. Well, they're on the same lake.
True.
Let's see. And that island, that lake does have some islands. This is a it's a imperial. It says Imperial Tiki Sour Ale. Like I don't even know what the hell that means. That's like so many things.
So it should have some if they're calling it tiki, it should have some tropical flavors.
It's Imperial Tiki Sour Ale. It's pineapple, orange, coconut, nutmeg, and lactose. It says. All I taste is coconut. It tastes. Sorry, not coconut. Sorry, pineapple. Hold on.
All right. I mean, that doesn't sound awful. But honestly, that combination of ingredients is basically a painkiller or a pina colada.
It tastes very pina colada. I would say, you know what? This one's actually more tiki than the tiki. The Westbrook tiki that I told you about at some point in the past. Yeah, Midwest. I guess they have. It's funny. You don't think of the Great Lakes as. I mean, the Great Lakes are small oceans, right? Like, so they have islands and they have choppy waves and shipwrecks.
You can surf on them. You got the Edmund Fitzgerald.
All the shit that happens in the ocean happens on a lesser scale in the Great Lakes. You don't think about it because you think. If you're not, I mean, in the Midwest, I'm sure you think about it, but if you're from somewhere else, if you grow up actually on an ocean, you think, oh, a lake is a different thing.
Exactly.
Then, so it's crazy. But anyway, this is pretty nice. Although I'm fairly certain they don't have pineapple in Wisconsin. Like it doesn't grow there.
They do not. I mean, it doesn't grow naturally there. I mean, I suppose if you try to plant a pineapple, you can probably grow one anywhere.
In the greenhouse.
If you try hard enough, you can grow anything.
You don't get
no hurricanes on the Great Lakes.
Well, you can get them. You have to go to a bar and order one,
or buy one at the grocery store. But or a hurricane. Yes, exactly. Drinking. So no, I had a coworker once. So she was born and raised in like Virginia Beach, and she lived in Atlanta. And when I told her at one point that the Great Lakes had tides, she was mind blown. Like, she's like, it's a lake. I'm like, yeah, but southern lakes are damned rivers. They're literally pools of water.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't just dam up a river and put a bunch of houses around it. It's a whole different thing.
It's its own thing. Like, yeah, you can surf on the Great Lakes. It might not be good. Like, you can surf better in Hawaii.
Yeah, you can surf in Florida. You won't have a good time, but you can do it.
But you can. But yeah, the worst part about though Midwestern beaches, at least on the eastern side of Michigan, western side's a little different. Eastern side of Michigan is all the beaches are just rocks. Like it's not nice, soft, sandy beaches. Like you're walking into the water, and when you're kids, you don't wear flip-flops because apparently that's not cool. So you were all just walking on these like rocks mixed with shells, and it's just like you're lucky you're not bleeding at the end.
Huh.
It's awful.
But it's sandy on the Lake Michigan side, right?
Yes, it is.
Lake Michigan is like the bluest Caribbean water. It's just icy cold.
Yes. Yes. You also do not want to go in Lake Michigan. Sometimes not even in the winter, in the summer.
Yeah. It takes till late August to warm up.
And then you have like a week. You have a week to go in that water. And then it's not fun anymore.
This is pretty good if you really like pineapple. It's good. It's funny because it claims to be it's not sour. I don't know what imperial. What does imperial mean? Explain that to me.
Imperial typically means I should actually know this, but imperial typically means that it's brewed to be a little bit stronger. So it won't necessarily have beer meaning. Let me actually look this up because I would know. Stronger than usual is the actual definition. So
you know what? It's funny. It does reference a painkiller on the back of the can here.
See, I know I
It
know
says
these
this
tiki drinks.
painkiller-inspired imperial sour ale is loaded with fresh pineapple and orange juices, then doused with fresh coconut before a gentle dusting of nutmeg. I don't taste anything but pineapple, and that's not to say it's a bad thing. It's just if you like pineapple.
So it'll take you away when you're in the spring, because I would ultimately classify that as a summer beer. So if you're sitting in the spring on the shores of Lake Michigan, imagining yourself on a tropical island in the summer,
Right.
that's beer.
You have some imagination, first off, because you're probably cold and you need to go the hell in the house.
Because it's spring and it's probably snowing.
I mean, it snowed there last week, right?
Oh, it snows there all the time. The year we moved from Michigan and put our house on the market in April, we put our house on the market, and the next day we got a blizzard, and that was the day the photographer came to take pictures of the outside of the house. I'm like, oh my God, it's going to look like this house has been on the market for months. Like, it literally went on the market today. You look at the pictures and it looks like it was December.
Right.
But that was also the moment when we were snow blowing, that when we're like, we are about to move to Georgia and fuck this shit. Like, I am over this.
We'll just stay home for 2 days and call it.
Yeah, absolutely. In Georgia, you stay home for 2 days and call it good. Yeah, exactly. 4 inches of snow last week, 81 degrees tomorrow. Welcome to the Midwest in springtime.
Yeah, I had a friend on Facebook, and he works at a nursery. I don't think it's south of Chicago somewhere. And he was talking about having to like cover all the plants in the nursery because they were getting a late. Well, we had a late frost here. Earlier this week, Wednesday and Thursday, I had to pull all my plants in. Ridiculous. And that's what I was talking about this earlier about the weather thing. Like, I'm tired of that shit. Knock it off. I have a key lime tree I bought to put out in my solarium, but the temperature dropped to like 37 or something, and I was like, got to bring that back in the house for a minute, you know?
Right. Hey, but here's the thing. At least we know in North Carolina or Georgia, that time frame is a few days. Like,
yeah.
Short time frame. Whereas in the Midwest, it's a month to 2 months where you might experience that level of fluctuation.
That's true. Yeah, and like now I looked at the weather after that happened, and it's not going to get below 50 for the next 3 weeks, which at that point I assume for the next several months. So, yeah. What else?
So I should probably briefly, because I didn't really say anything about the automatic for the people.
How is it?
It's very good. This is one I've had before, and it tasted a little strong when I first drank it, but that's because I had just had that Saison. So, but now it's starting to mellow on my palate. So,
would you say it makes you feel like a shiny, happy person?
Yes, it does. It absolutely. I wish I were so fast on the REM puns, but I'm afraid I'm just night swimming over here. So,
all right, I got one more beer left for myself.
What?
Yeah,
I have to drink this one.
Yeah, I'm about to open this. This is New Belgium, apparently. It's called Dominga. It's a mimosa sour.
Oh, see, now you're speaking that's like brunch right there.
You like that? Okay. Hey, before I open this, I want to talk briefly about Kolsch's. I know they're kind of summer beers, maybe, but maybe they're also spring beers. I don't think.
Well, like my first beer was a Bohemian Pilsner, and I think any of those lagery, like Pilsners and Kolsch's, because they're light and they're crisp, I think you could make an argument.
Okay, how about a wit?
Yeah, sure. Once again, like a Hefeweizen, if it's not too citrusy.
Right. Some of them are very floral wits.
Yes.
Mother Earth what's that called? The Endless River.
Endless River Kolsch or Weeping Willow Wit?
Weeping Willow Wit. That's the one I'm trying to think of. Yes. Weeping Willow Wit. I've had that a lot recently. It was on tap at the Purple Onion. It's a very, very, yeah. I'll tell you about the mimosa sour in just a minute. Let me drink the last swig of this Enchanted Island. So this is funny. I was asking you about Imperial because most of the time when somebody says Imperial, I'm not going to like it. Usually it means it's too strong for me. Is what like.
Right. It's stronger than usual.
Exactly like you said. In my first, so what happened with that initially with me was because I started out on my beer journey drinking a lot of stouts and porters. Imperial stouts, I do not like. It's like a mouthful of flavor. It's like, hey, here's a bunch of coffee and chocolate. Yeah, you're gonna.
They're really heavy, especially the heavier the beer, the heavier the imperialness.
Yes, and I just don't. I never. My wife, she used to go to the bottle shop for my birthday, and she'd go, "Hey, my husband likes stouts. What should I get him?" And they go, "Oh, you should get him this," and they'd sell her some $12.22 of some imperial stout, and she'd bring it home and like think, hey, I did a good thing, and and I'd feel really bad because she thought she was doing something nice for me, and I'd be like, oh, I can't even choke this shit down. It's awful.
That's when you turn that beer into a black and tan. You mix it with something.
I should have done. I should have just had like a lager in there and just dumped it in there. Like, okay, we're gonna thin this out. It'll be okay. I mean, honestly, I'm the kind of person who I thin out juice. Like, I pour half a glass of orange juice and half a glass of water because I think juice is too thick. Like,
yeah, well, I mean, because we're Gen X, right? We were raised on, the little juice boxes that you would get that looked like a barrel with the foil top,
right?
Which were just like bad concentrated sugar water with some sort of flavoring.
When I have real juice, I'm like, what the fuck is this? It's got all this stuff in it. Like, it's too thick.
Exactly. What we need to buy you when you thin out your juices are glasses that are shaped like that little barrel thing.
Yes. I should just get a bunch of those barrels, dump the Kool-Aid shit out of them, and wash them.
That is a thing you can do. All right. So have you opened up this last beer yet?
I did open up the mimosa sour from New Belgium. New Belgium, out of Colorado, technically, sort of, but this is actually now in Asheville, as they opened their East Coast brewery in Asheville, North Carolina. New Brooklyn, New Belgium is probably my third or fourth favorite brewery. They make a lot of good stuff. I got to say, I generally, I would say about 50% of the stuff they make, I like. Even some of their IPAs, I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good. And I'm not an IPA drinker,
right?
But they have those citrusy IPAs in the summertime. The whole citradelic line. They're what is the other thing they got? The
Voodoo Ranger is their
the skeleton guy. Is that the one?
Yeah, and it used to be just IPAs for Voodoo Ranger, but they branched out into some seasonal flavors that are not IPAs.
But they're all pretty good, and I'm not an IPA drinker, so I even like their IPAs. Is what I'm saying. For the most part, New Belgium makes some good beer. Let's see what this is about.
All right, do that. And I just opened my last beer.
I gotta say, damn, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like myself. I like a good orangey flavored beer. Most of the orangey flavored citrus beers. Let's see. Yeah, as I mentioned episodes ago, my entry level into beer was actually an orange flavored beer. That's the one that got me, right. An Orange Blossom Wit was the first beer I had that I liked, and made me go, oh fuck, beer's okay. So any beer with orange in it, usually I'm kind of a fan of. Like I said, I like orange citradelic, which New Belgium also makes. I like the Lost Coast tangerine wheat, which I recently bought a bunch of. I've got one left in the refrigerator. That's a good beer. I mean, tangerines aren't technically oranges, but they're oranges. Let's be honest.
They're of the orange family.
It's just some sort of hybrid orange, right?
Right. someone invented a tangerine. So
Yeah, like anything that's like mildly orange beer, I usually like. I don't think I've had an orange beer I hated. Truth be told, so
yeah. All right. So, but I really love the idea of this mimosa beer as a spring beer because let's face it, spring is the brunch of seasons.
it is. It is really. It's like in between things.
Right? And let's all hashtag opinion gang. We can hashtag that spring is the brunch of seasons.
It is. And you know what this would be? You know what would go great with this? A fucking waffle.
I was just gonna say, when you said what would go great with this, I'm like a fucking waffle.
It would. And a waffle would be awesome. Like right now, this actually would be the perfect beer to drink with a waffle if you're the kind of person who drinks beer and eats waffle.
Nice.
It's so good. Heather, you're going to love it. I should do another one and I'll save it for you and I'll bring it whenever I see you.
Perfect. So I opened my last beer, which is the Bright Day Coming by Three Taverns, which is right down the road from where I'm sitting right now. Mm-hmm. And I bought it because look at that nice springy little image right there. Like it's very Beatles. It's very springy.
Yeah, I thought it was like Keep on Trucking kind of.
Sure, but it's Bright Day Coming. It's a hazy India Pale Ale, and I wouldn't normally consider hazies to be spring, and I don't know whether it is or not, frankly. But Bright Day Coming, like that speaks spring to me.
Yeah, it's like a new beginnings. I got you. It's like
it's here comes the sun. It's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Like
yes, exactly. Let's see how it is then.
It's very tasty. It is very hazy. It definitely has a lot of tropical flavors, orangey flavors. But I think you might actually like this, Bill.
I should try it.
I think, well, I'll save one for you along with this beer.
I'm going to go back to the store and I'm going to buy a bunch of these. I'm going to save one for you and I'm going to save one for Heather from whenever I see Heather.
Perfect. That sounds perfect. Yes. And I agree, Heather. So I was a guest on Heather's podcast last week, because today's Monday, last week. And I know you got invited, but you ended up doing something else, so you couldn't make it. But of course, because I am nothing else if not a marketing machine, I promoted Bill Has Opinions on her show. So hopefully we get a few more viewers out of that. But also, live on her show, I told her that we were going to have her as a guest on our show soon to talk about libraries.
Yes.
Or books. I suppose we can decide what the topic is.
Whatever. I mean, yeah.
So it won't be in person. Whoops. Oh, yay.
I mean, it will be if she decides to fly down.
That's true. We could talk about that. That's something that we could talk about for the future.
I will to get the heck out of Dodge for a minute.
True. I will be back in Asheville in like a month's time. So yes, we will have to. So you can hear Heather. You can hear her rather than just read her comments as she is furiously typing away during our show, because that's what I imagine. Like, I imagine she's listening. She's like, I gotta type.
Well, she's like the live stream Snopes for our show, like fact checking.
That's true, because we never claimed that our opinions were factual. We just claimed that they were opinions.
They are opinions, exactly. We don't look like Bill Has the facts. Did we say that for like April Fools or something? What was it?
Yeah, our April Fool's Day post was Bill Has Facts, which I cracked up for days. Cracked up for days over that. I did. Yay! We love you too, Heather. All right, so we are coming up to the end of the show, and I don't know that we've reached a consensus about spring beers, other than to say, drink whatever you want. You make the rules.
Yeah, it's spring, bitches. Drink what you like. And I say bitches in the general sense. Like I'm not disparaging ladies. I'm saying like you fellas are bitches too.
In the loving sense, yes. No, I hear you.
All right.
All right.
I'm saying it in the way that my teenage stepdaughter says it.
That's fair, because you know you're really cool when you vote your teenage stepdaughter. That just takes coolness to a new level.
Exactly. Like, or it makes her cringe and whatever. That's its own reward. When you
That's
can
fair. That's taking dad joke to the next level. All right. So normally this point of the show, we would give you our mailbag segment. We do not have anything, but we want to remind people we are crowdsourcing ideas for future episodes. So if there are topics you want us to talk about, send them our way. That's all I have to say. Yeah. No, Heather's also not cool. She works with college kids, so that's cool. All right. Yeah. So then what I would normally say now to Bill is, Bill, do you have anything for things that are extra?
Right. And tonight I don't. But I understand you do.
I fucking do. All right. All right, folks. Here's a moment. We're going to go to church here. I recently signed up for Paramount Plus in order to watch such things as Star Trek Discovery, yada, yada, all of the things that used to be on CBS All Access. Here's my thing. So I've been binge watching, don't judge me, I've been binge watching RuPaul's Drag Race. They don't have the three most recent seasons. It ends at season 10. You cannot watch 11, 12, or 13 unless you pay for it. What the fuck am I paying for then?
Pay for it in addition to paying for it?
In addition to paying for it. This is an online platform that I am paying for your streaming properties. Why the fuck can't I watch all of your streaming properties?
Oh, man. That sounds awful.
It really does. All I want to watch is 3 more seasons of, like, I would be watching them right now. Just let me watch RuPaul's Drag Race.
That's
what am I paying for? Tell me what I'm paying for then.
I mean, you know what? It's funny. Our friend Jay told me yesterday, I think, he was complaining about, so he pays for satellite radio, right? And he was saying that they advertise they have no commercials, but they advertise that they have no commercials between songs on satellite radio. They're like, you're listening to satellite radio with no commercial.
Exactly.
And he's like, I'm ready to play the music.
Like, exactly. Like, this is the world of streaming. First of all, streaming television, it's great. But most people have discovered that you pay for 7 different streaming networks and you're back to your regular cable bill. Like, at that point, it's not worth it.
The other day it was like Captain Planet. It was like Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu. And it was like, when your powers combined, I'm the same price as cable.
Exactly. But don't fucking make me pay for your content and then not give me your content. It makes no sense. I'm not paying extra. I'm already paying you.
And Disney pulled this shit too, actually. I think didn't they with the latest movie
and a few other movies? Yeah.
The last movie, The Dragon something or other. I can't remember.
Aya or something, the dragon, something.
Yeah,
the last dragon, whatever it is.
You pay like an extra $30 on top of your Hulu Plus.
Yeah, like, why would I do that?
Yeah, and it was like, nah, like that's more shit, right? Like I already paid for this stuff. Yeah, you owe me a soda.
No sense. Just if I'm already paying for your streaming content, give me all of your streaming content. Don't put any of it behind a paywall. That's why I'm paying you.
Right. Didn't we already have this issue like video games where people were like fussing because, like you had to pay to play all the the add-ons and bullshit? Didn't EA Games like go under or something for this shit? Like I can't remember if they went under or not, but I know it was a big complaint. Like people were like mad because you got into a game. You were playing the game. You already paid for the fucking game. And then it was like, if you want to do anything fun, if you want to have any stuff, you got to pay extra. Yeah. People were like, well, that's crazy. I'm not doing that. Like, the hell with you. I'll go play something else.
And so I'm giving this out as just a FYI to anyone because I'm pretty sure most people didn't buy Paramount Plus to binge watch Drag Race. So most people probably don't even know this is a problem, but it's a problem, people.
So I'm sorry, I have one question because I already had we paid for CBS, whatever the fuck their streaming service was.
CBS All Access.
What's on Paramount that's not on the CBS one?
CBS doesn't exist anymore. It's now Paramount Plus.
Oh, okay.
So, right. So the answer is
obviously like we watched the first half of the first season of The Good Fight, and then I was like, yeah, whatever. I don't give a shit. Whatever.
Right. So CBS All Access created a mega streaming that includes all Paramount properties. And Heather, you're right. We could do a show about media bullshit is what we could do. So it's all Paramount properties, which includes such things as MTV, VH1, Logo Network, which is why they have, All Access my ass.
Some access.
Some access. Like, no, I'm not going to pay. I'm so pissed off. Like, all I want to do is watch 3 more seasons. They would, I mean, I'm already paying them. Why can't I watch 3 more seasons?
You know what? I'll talk to you after the show. I got a hookup for you.
Fair enough. All right. We are at an hour. We always love our beer episodes because we just drink and bullshit. You know, at one point, I tried to do an actual beer podcast with a guy that I turned out.
I remember that now. Yeah, it was like, and then that was it.
Well, I shot the pilot with a stranger. I shot the pilot with a strange guy who was supposed to be my co-host. And all he did was mansplain beer to me, and it pissed me off. So I told the producer that I wasn't fucking doing it anymore.
Right.
You don't have to mansplain beer to me. I know more. And what was worse is the thing he tried to explain to me on air, on the actual podcast, he was wrong about.
That's how mansplaining works.
Yeah, no shit. No shit. I knew that the day that I had to explain to somebody that douchebag was an insult specifically geared to feminize something. So, and they didn't believe me. I'm like, what do you think a douche is?
Well, you know, I've heard Dan Savage try to soften it by saying it could be an anal douche.
Could be. I had someone tell me that it wasn't a misogynistic insult because it's like a colostomy bag, and I'm like, oh, honey, it's not. That's not at all what it is.
And that's ableist.
That's a different thing, right? And that's ableist. Exactly.
So
before we get too far off on tangents here, after we've had a lot of beers, we should probably close this episode. So, Bill, will you take us away?
I'll try to.
We've been drinking.
Let's see. Bill's Opinions is engineered and produced by Laura Foy. The opinions of Bill are those of him and him alone, unless the ones that Laura shakes her head in agreement to, and vice versa. Let's see. Our opinions are not necessarily those of the companies that we purport to advertise for, who haven't paid us a damn dime. So don't hold them accountable for us. Let's see. Like and subscribe and follow us and all the platforms, and hashtag opinion gang, and tell us whether or not what was it we were soliciting info on. I can't remember.
Oh no, we want people to retweet. Spring is the brunch of seasons.
Spring is the brunch of seasons. That's it. Yes. And then hashtag opinion gang on that, if you will. Yeah. That would be great. And then, I guess that's it. Oh, and be sure to tune in next week for another exciting episode of Bill Has Opinions.
Which we don't know what it's. I don't remember what it's about yet. And
I don't know. It's not about beer, so we won't be as drunk, probably.
Well, we'll be a little drunk, but maybe not this drunk.
Not as drunk is what I'm saying. You know,
all right.
I'll promise you that.
All right, everybody. Goodbye and good luck. We'll see you soon.
All right.